thank you all for being here. Death, legacy, love, sacrifice, science, altruism, and compassion. These are some of the words that came up during my conversation with my father as the collective realization of his mortality closed in around us. Stage 4 cancer, the same disease that had claimed my mother's life just a few years prior, marched on through his abdomen, colonizing his organs, tissues, and bones. The time for discussing his end-of-life plans and wishes was now. My father had spent most of his adult life working as a cab driver and a school teacher, far from a lab bench or a microscope. But he was an avid reader, and he both loved and revered science. I remember as a child, whenever we would go to funerals of friends and family members, he would always say that whenever he died, he vowed that he would donate his body to science in the hopes that in death, he might help advance knowledge and be of some use to humanity. I never knew exactly what this meant until coming to medical school. And I'm not entirely sure he did either until I showed him. Our collective ignorance on the matter did nothing to undermine his certainty that this is what he wanted to do. After his cancer diagnosis, these conversations took on a new weight. While just as painful and difficult to accept as my mother's death, the emotional roller coaster had fewer twists and turns this time around, since we knew exactly where this road led and what to expect. The harsh reality of stage 4 cancer is that there is no stage 5. So we knew to have the hard conversations early, while my father was clear and lucid. I asked him what he wanted to do, wishing selfishly to have a big service with friends and family before laying him to rest beside my mother in our family's plot in New Jersey. But he would hear none of it. He devoted his life to the education of others, both as a teacher and through political, professional, and community service. I was the fool to think that in death his actions would be any different. So I brought him to the anatomy lab one night so that he could see exactly what this decision entailed. He was surprised to see students working in the lab at such a late hour, moving busily from table to table, thumbing through textbooks, asking and answering questions in what must have sounded to him like a foreign language, hands and minds working in unison to unlock the mysteries of the human body. Young physicians of tomorrow laying the foundation of knowledge that would inform their careers for the rest of their lives. The next day, my father went in to complete the paperwork to enroll into the anatomical gift program at Albany Medical Center. My dual perspective as a student and as a grieving family member is a unique one. While working on our cadavers to learn human anatomy, we do so with the full realization that we are operating on someone's parent, grandparent, brother, sister, son, daughter. We know certain salient details of their lives from their obituaries, their illnesses, if they were active with their churches, if they served in the military, those who they left behind. We're mindful of the weight and responsibility of their humanity. It guides our hands with every cut. But we must also feel a degree of detachment, of dispassion, in order to fully absorb the lessons that our cadavers and our professors are trying to teach us. Lessons that would imprint human anatomy into our consciousness and invaluable knowledge and awareness that will enable us to save and improve the lives of our patients. To remain mindful of our cadaver's humanity and to endear her to me, I referred to her as my Aunt Anna. And I even spoke to her before and after each session. But nobody was looking, of course, so people wouldn't think I was crazy. I would ask her for guidance and to help me understand the lesson of the day. And at the end of each session, I would thank her and tell her to rest easy. She was my first patient and my most valuable and selfless teacher all in one. Her sacrifice, her life, and her legacy will live on through me with each patient that I touch, each person that I heal, and I will always be grateful to her for her sacrifice to my education. When it came time for the anatomical gift program to collect my father's body to begin the embalming process, my psyche was torn in the direction of a student realizing the importance and necessity of such sacrifices to our medical education, and of a son, distraught that my father wouldn't be laid to rest alongside his queen, but instead spend the next 18 months upstairs from me at the AMC library on a cold metal table. The only way for me to reconcile these conflicting thoughts and emotions was to always remember to put my father's autonomy first, and to remind myself that nothing was more important than honoring his final wishes. Fulfilling my duties as a son meant honoring both this decision to donate his remains to the training and education of future physicians, and moving forward with fierce resolve in my own studies, so that his final sacrifice and the countless ones that he made before it to get me to Albany Medical College would not be in vain. To my fellow students, take a moment, each of you, to visualize your cadavers, your own greatest teachers, your first patients. The skin, its layers from epidermis to dermis, the muscles, the unique shape, color, texture, and feel of each organ inside that helps accomplish this miracle of life. I've often heard that medical training gets rougher as we approach graduation and residency. I hear that young physicians can get desensitized throughout this arduous journey at times, forgetting the many reasons why we wanted to become healers in the first place. I hear that many doctors even forget the humanity and selflessness on which this profession of medicine was founded. Today, I urge you to fight against that urge and to remember this moment, so that one day when you get that call for an organ that you're so eagerly waiting for that arrives for a patient, you remember that it could be the organ of your father, your mother, your brother. When you're working a 30-hour shift in the hospital feeling ready to collapse, remember each and every sacrifice that was made to help get you where you are today. Remember the courage and selflessness that it took each of these individuals and their families who we are honoring here today to transcend their fears, their egos, the taboo of death, so that we could all become physicians. To the donors and their families, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. The sacrifices of our loved ones to this institution will live on long beyond today, with each flash of clinical insight, each correct diagnosis, and each patient healed, and each life that we save. Standing before you first as a son and as a physician in training, I say humbly and gratefully, thank you.